Greetings, Poké fans! Michael here, and a year ago, I made a video going over every team I used in 2021 and giving them a rating based on how fond of them I was and how good I thought they were. This video will be the same, but for the teams I used in 2022. All of these playthroughs happened on my MandJTV Plays channel, since how I'm dividing my content is this channel is where I talk about Pokemon, and that channel is where I play Pokemon. Hence the name MandJTV Plays. If you missed any of these and want to see them, you should definitely subscribe to MandJTV Plays. That channel is well on its way to 1 million subs, and the large majority of the views it gets are from non-subscribers. Anyways, my first playthrough of 2022 was Pokemon Heart Gold, but I'm Team Sky! This was the third installment of my Team Sky series, where I take on the role of the leader of the third villainous team from Hoenn, where, as the name suggests, I'm obsessed with the sky instead of the land or the sea. The first Team Sky adventure was in Hoenn, then I flew to Kanto, then 2022 started with conquering the skies of Johto. The team I beat the Pokemon League with was Reverb the Crobat, Omen the Murkrow, Gargoyle the Gligar, Dandy the Jumpluff, Cardinal the Red Gyarados, and Iris the Ho-Oh. After the league, I evolved Murkrow and Gligar through less than legal methods, and caught Lugia I named Marianis. The final team I brought to fight Red was Cardinal, Iris, Marianis, Gargoyle, and Reverb. It's only 5 because it's Gen 4. I had to have an HM using Geodude to get to the top. This team was a challenge at first, but got a lot better as time went on. The MVP was absolutely Cardinal, using it to Dragon Dance sweep both Lance and Red, and it often solo carried various other battles. Reverb was also very good, and while the legends were of course helpful, I didn't lean on them a ton since by that time, Cardinal and Reverb were handling most everything already. Gargoyle was a godsend to help with electric types, but I didn't use it much aside from that, and Omen was somewhat useful. Dandy was a constant struggle though, and its defeat of Claire's Kingdra was genuinely surprising. Overall, I'm gonna give this team a 7 out of 10. I'm in general fond of it, but I definitely am more fond of some members than others. The next playthrough was of course my very first playthrough of Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm still kind of in disbelief that we got 3 mainline game releases in 1 year, and frankly, that should never happen again, so they actually function properly on launch. My team was Longshot the Hisuian Decidueye, Luster the Luxray, Stronghold the Alpha Hisuian Goodra, Confetti the Togekiss, Downstream the Basculegion, and Siberia the Mamoswine. I really like this team. I think part of it is that it's associated with Legends Arceus, which is an awesome, really fun game, but also despite most of the Pokemon in the game being older generation Pokemon, the team still felt fresh and new. Half of it were brand new forms or species, and 2 of them were Pokemon that I'd wanted to use for a long time, but had never had the chance. And then there was Luxray, but come on, who doesn't like Luxray? Plus, even though Hisuian Goodra got some flack for being just a Goodra with a shell, it's really strong. And I'll never forget the excitement I felt when I caught the Alpha Sliggoo when it was 10 levels stronger than my team. Come on, let me get lucky. It would be so cool for the video. Come on. Oh, yes, yes! Overall, I think this team is awesome, and it helps that it was in an awesome game. 10 out of 10 for this team. My next playthrough was Pokemon Shield, but Pokemon Go decides my team. For this video, after each gym battle, I had 10 minutes to catch Pokemon in Pokemon Go, and then I'd transfer those Pokemon into Shield to use them until beating the next gym. I really loved this video concept, since it was really cool to see the exact same Pokemon I found out in the real world making their way into a mainline game. Plus, it got me out of the office. Because of the format of this video, I don't have one team that made it through the whole playthrough. I have 9 different ones, some of which have less than 6 Pokemon because I either ran out of time or I caught Pokemon that were too high level to obey me. So let me list all 9 teams real quick. Gym 1 was Swirlix, Foongus, and Charmeleon. Gym 2 was Petalil, Fletchinder, Wailmer, Solosis, Pikachu, and Foongus. Gym 3 was Growlithe, Cottonee, Solosis, Pikachu, and Natu. Gym 4 was Venusaur, Growlithe, Poliwhirl, Lairon, and Swirlix. Gym 5 was Lairon, Incineroar, Primarina, Xatu, Gyarados, and Decidueye. Gym 6 was Talonflame, Incineroar, Decidueye, Primarina, Hippowdon, and Durant. Gym 7 was Galarian Weezing, Alolan Ninetales, Vaporeon, Raichu, Talonflame, and Exeggutor. Gym 8 was Primarina, Gyarados, Solrock, Exeggutor, and Stoutland. And the final team that did everything after Gym 8 was Decidueye, Lantern, Flareon, Stoutland, Wigglytuff, and Butterfree. I'm only gonna rate the final team since most of these teams were not used for very long, some of which for less than half an hour, while the final team was used a lot. Decidueye was great, Lantern was okay, Stoutland was meh, Flareon was worse than expected, Wigglytuff was better than expected, and Butterfree was completely useless. Overall, I think that gives the team a 5 out of 10. Half the team was at least solid, while half the team was not. It did result in some interesting challenges toward the end, though. I almost lost to Raihan. Decidueye, it's all up to you, because I know this thing has a rock move, which instantly kills Butterfree. Don't you dare flinch. Okay, come on. Wait, if he doesn't heal, we've got it. He doesn't heal! Oh my god. The next playthrough was Pokemon Ultra Sun using only ice types, since ice is the only type in Alola to not have a major specialist. The story I set up made it so I could only use the Ice Z move, so I will be keeping myself pure till I get the Ice one. When is that? Which can't be obtained until right before the league, which meant I was playing through an Alola game without my own Z moves, and all of my Pokemon were the type that only resists itself. Yeah, it was pretty hard. I lost a lot. Oh! So unfair! What the heck? Oh, this is humbling. The final team of 6 was Cold Club the Crabominable, Pinball the Walrein, Storm the Alolan Ninetales, Masto the Mamoswine, Spaghetti the Abomasnow, and Blackout the Weavile. I also used Gravesinger the Lapras to beat Ultra Necrozma with Perish Song, and Clamiel the Cloyster and Shiver the Frostlass were on the team for large chunks of the playthrough. Despite this playthrough being one of the tougher ones I've done, the final team ended up being quite solid. 2 Hail Setters was cool to have. Hell yeah. My Mighty Plush is still available at MandJTVmerch.com until they sell out. And the team dominated in the league, aside from a predictable struggle against the Steel Specialist. I even belly drum swept with Walrein once or twice. It's fine, I'm gonna try belly drumming. Pinball does it! A belly drum sweep, incredible! So the final team was quite solid. What made this playthrough so challenging is that I had to use weak Pokemon for like the first half of the game. Like Seal, Spheal, Shelder, Delibird, and Smoochum. Most of these Pokemon don't evolve until like level 30, if they evolve at all. After losing to Hau in Mali City without KOing any of his Pokemon, I evolved most of the team and didn't lose another battle. But as for the final team, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It being entirely ice types prevents it from getting a really high rating, but it was better than it might seem. The next playthrough is one that I didn't actually do. Grunty Boy took on the episode RR postgame in Ultra Sun, so I'll let him talk about that. Haha, it is I, Grunty Boy. Earlier this year, I was warped to an unfamiliar world and found a team impersonating Team Rocket, calling themselves Team Rainbow Rocket. I made it my mission to stop them, and I used a team of proper Team Rocket Pokemon. My squad was Rocket Bat the Crobat, Rocket Nap the Hypno, Rocket Fist the Machamp, Rocket Gas the Gengar, Rocket Doom the Houndoom, and Grunty Bone 2 the Marowak. It's 2 because the first Cubone I got turned into this weird fire ghost one, and but I have Grunty Bone 2. I'm realizing this was supposed to be Rocket Bone 2, and I relapsed to previous habits. I called on my Pokemon Grunty something in my playthrough of Let's Go, which, side note, is one of the most viewed videos on MandJTV Plays. And I accidentally did the same thing for this Marowak. Anyways, this team is of course a 10 out of 10. Any team that I use is immediately amazing, but this team also beat several legendary Pokemon, and that makes it just as great as me. Ta-ta! Don't tell Grunty Boy I said this, but personally I'd give it a 7. Yes, it did beat legendary Pokemon, but most of those required cheeky strategies like Curse or Destiny Bond, most of which Gengar was doing. In fact, Gengar basically did all of that. Anyways, my next playthrough was another installment in the Team Sky saga, this time in Platinum. The final team was Superstar the Staraptor, Sky Serpent the Gyarados, Vampire the Crobat, Swampy the Tropius, Premier the Gliscor, and Skyland the Giratina. Giratina was justified because its origin form has Levitate, and even though you can't get the Greases Orb until after beating the League, the altered form can still learn Fly. This team was pretty solid. It had some familiar Team Sky faces like Crobat and Gyarados, both of which were quite effective, especially Gyarados with the Dragon Dance sweeping that I love to do. And who doesn't love Gliscor? It actually swept Flint by itself. Staraptor was solid, but Tropius struggled at times. Giratina was honestly just kinda there. It helped against Lucian, but that was really it. In the end, this team is 8 out of 10. I liked it, but I didn't quite adore it. The next playthrough was Pokemon Y, but I randomized everything. Just like my Shield randomizer, which, side note, was my most viewed video in 2022, despite being posted in 2021. The Y randomizer, though, was a struggle. I was on a deadline, and a lot of the battles ended up really annoying. All the major battles were coded to have full teams of 6, which meant the multi-battles were 12 versus 12 battles, one of which saw 22 Pokemon faint. The final product is a great video, but the process of making it was so frustrating and annoying and stressful that it was the final straw for me deciding to take 2 months off from posting earlier this year. The final team was Chestnut, the fighting type Latias that mega evolved into a rock dark type, Magma, the fire type Gudra, Shriekan, the dark ghost Garchomp, Doormat, the electric fairy Dialga, Kraken, the water Salamence, and Capricorn, the ground flying Go-Goat. 2 legendaries, 3 pseudo-legendaries, and a Go-Goat. And the Go-Goat was the best Pokemon! Go-Goat got excellent ground and flying moves early, but so many of the others never got good stab moves. Oblivion Wing? Why does the Go-Goat get the best moves? In the league, I was using Echoed Voice on Dialga because it never got an electric attack better than Shockwave and never got a fairy attack at all. The later parts of the playthrough mainly saw me just using Go-Goat and Garchomp to sweep through everything in trivial battles. So while they were technically good, the frustrations of the playthrough as a whole had weighed on me by that point. I'm giving the team 3 out of 10. 2 points from Go-Goat, 1 point from Garchomp, and none from everything else. The next playthrough was several months later since, as I mentioned, I took a break for a while, which was very much needed and helped me out a lot, and I returned with Pokemon Legends Arceus, but I'm Team Sky. This featured the leader of Team Sky thrust back in time without knowing what was going on. I honestly adore this video, and I think it's so funny at so many points, so if you haven't watched it, you absolutely should. Silly little balls. How dare you talk about my silly little balls? The final squad was Hoots the Hisuian Decidueye, which I kept since it demonstrated that it can fly. Hoots, you still fly! All right, it can stay. Flutter the Togekiss, Twister the Gyarados, Clawson the Gliscor, Goggles the Hisuian Braviary, and Sunny the shiny Drifblim. Sunny the Drifblim was the only shiny I got during a playthrough this year, aside from the guaranteed red Gyarados, and somehow it was actually a flying type during a playthrough where that's the only type I can use. To say I was thrilled would be a significant understatement. Is that a yellow balloon? Team Sky's first shiny! It's beautiful. I'm giving the team a 9 out of 10. I can't really give it a perfect score since 4 of the 6 members are Pokemon that I'd used on teams earlier that same year, some of which in the same game, so there wasn't very much novelty there, but I still really like all the Pokemon I used, which included the awesome Hisuian Decidueye and a freaking shiny. Seriously though, I love this video. It might be my favorite video that I made in all of 2022, and you should definitely watch it if you haven't. And subscribe to MandJTV Plays. Seriously, so many comments on that video are like, I love the videos you make here, and the people aren't even subscribed. The next playthrough was the final one I did before Generation 9. Pokemon Sword, but I'm an electric type gym leader. This is inspired by a video I made here on this channel a few years ago, where I talk about what my gym and team would be if I was a Galar electric gym leader. My final squad was Barkler the Boltund, Taser the Vikavolt, Dump Truck the Dracozolt, Chillet the Arctozolt, Versa the Rotom, and my ace, Shred the Gigantamax Toxtricity. This team is actually pretty close to the team I said I would use in that gym video. I did use Lantern until I got Rotom, which was better, and I also didn't use Electric Surge Pincurchin, because Electric Surge is the only reason to use the Pincurchin, and getting one with its hidden ability was gonna be just too much time and effort. I'll give this team an 8 out of 10. It struggled early on, but once I got Vikavolt at only level 23, the sailing became a lot more smooth. Plus, using Gigantamax Toxtricity, something not really possible when the game's launched, was a lot of fun. Since I've always liked Toxtricity, and slamming down opponents with an entirely electric guitar is just kind of awesome. There were 2 things that disappointed me though. The first was Lantern. I love its design, but its complete inability to hit anything for significant damage and lack of a decent water move without a TR was a drag, and Rotom was a welcome replacement but came really late. The other was that I wanted to use Bolt Beak on Dracozolt and Arctozolt, which is an extremely powerful move, doubling from 80 to 160 power if you just go first, but they didn't learn it until level 63, which is basically the end of the game. So that was kind of a letdown, but overall it was still fun to use my favorite type. Then finally, of course, Pokemon Scarlet. There are 2 ways for you to view this playthrough if you want something longer form. It's on MandJTV Extra in 1 hour plus video parts, but it's also condensed down to 1 video on MandJTV Plays called I Spent 50 Days in Pokemon Scarlet and Lost My Mind. I did, and you should watch it happen. The final team was Duck Duck the Quackquavel, Vulcan the Armarouge, Plummet the Kilowattrel, Agari the Toedscruel, Nitro the Revavroom, and Dime the Baxcalibur. I also used Brownie the Clodsire, Sodio the Garganical, and Wraith the Annihilate for significant parts of the playthrough, so I consider them part of the team even though they weren't in the party for the finale. For this team, Vulcan and Dime were absolutely my favorites. Both awesome Pokemon and both quite strong. Dime swept most of the champion assessment by itself using Dragon Dance, something I did a lot this year but didn't need potions to do it with Dime. I liked the rest of the team, but I didn't grow super attached to them as much as I did with Armarouge and Baxcalibur. I was especially disappointed that I didn't really feel attached to my starter at all by the end, even though it was pretty good. I think 9 out of 10 works well for this team. I quite like it, but didn't love it. And now for the final team rankings. The Y Randomizer team is in last place with 3 out of 10. Then the final Shield But Go Decides My team with 5 out of 10. Then the Ice team with 6 out of 10. Heart Gold Team Sky and Rainbow Rocket with 7 out of 10. Platinum Team Sky and Electric Gym Leader tied with 8 out of 10. Team Sky Legends Arceus and Scarlet with 9 out of 10. And finally, the first Legends Arceus team was 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching my videos this year, and if you want to see more Pokemon playthroughs in 2023, make sure you subscribe to MandJTV Plays. There'll be videos here, but the playthroughs will be over there. Also, an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon, helping support my channel independent of fluctuating YouTube ad rates. If you want to help support me the same way, links in the description below. And Mighty is still available on MandJTVmerch.com. Selling them till they sell out. But that is all I have for now. So until next time, big fans, gotta catch them all.